Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a financial case study that is honestly just staggering. We're going to unpack the extremely precarious situation of a 23-year-old who is staring down total financial collapse. So, what actually happens when a massive mountain of debt collides with a series of really questionable daily spending habits? Well, we're going to map it all out piece by piece to understand exactly how a disaster of this magnitude builds up, and more importantly, what it literally takes to dig out of it.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The $103,000 debt crisis. 2. A looming mortgage foreclosure. 3. Credit cards and family IOUs. 4. Zero-income rampant spending. And finally, 5. The harsh financial reality. Section 1. The $103,000 debt crisis, mapping out the massive liabilities. $103,000. Just let that sink in for a second. This is the total debt load currently resting squarely on the shoulders of a 23-year-old who already has dependents, with another child on the way. When you hear a number like that at such a young age, you immediately have to ask yourself, where on earth did it all go? So let's break down exactly where that money is tied up. Now, obviously, there's a huge concentration in housing with a $77,000 mortgage. But you've also got nearly $11,000 borrowed from family and friends, roughly $13,000 wrapped up in consumer and auto debt, and another $2,000 in past utilities. It's a completely systemic debt crisis that's literally touching every single area of her life. Section 2. A looming mortgage foreclosure, the threat of losing shelter. Okay, the monthly payment on this home is actually pretty low, right? Just $809. But here's the harsh reality. No payments have been made in over 5 months. Being more than 120 days delinquent means this $77,000 home is pushed right to the absolute brink of foreclosure. The threat of losing the roof over their heads, it's not some distant theoretical problem anymore. It's imminent. Now, what's really fascinating and frankly alarming is the behavioral choice we see during this severe housing crisis. When asked about her recent spending, she explicitly stated she took money meant for the mortgage to buy a new video game. And this, right here, perfectly highlights the core issue we are analyzing today. This massive, jarring disconnect between crucial financial obligations and actual daily behavior. Section 3. Credit cards and family IOUs. High-interest chaos and broken boundaries. Moving on to the family IOUs, and this is where things get really messy. We're looking at over $10,000 borrowed from relatives. But look at the reasons. While $2,000 from her dad went to previous mortgage issues, $2,370 was borrowed from her mom for Christmas gifts, and, I kid you not, a $70 pet jumping spider. She was borrowing thousands for absolute non-essentials, while basic housing went completely unpaid. On top of that, an ex-partner is owed $7,000 for a defaulted auto loan. Furthermore, her consumer debt profile is it's a disaster zone. We're talking about a Credit One card pushed $178 over its limit, suffocating under a massive 28% interest rate. There's a Capital One account for nearly $6,000 that has been entirely charged off, and a Sam's Club card just sitting there in collections. So it's not just a little bit of credit card debt, it's a sweeping picture of total credit default. And the context behind this debt makes the situation even more tragic. The source material reveals that these credit lines weren't used to, buy groceries or keep the lights on. They were actively utilized through high-interest cash advances to fund destructive habits and past substance addictions. She wasn't just buying goods, she was piling on long-term consequences, massive fees, and astronomical interest rates for things that were actively degrading her life. Section 4. Zero income, rampant spending. The mathematical impossibility of her daily habits. $0. That is her current earned income. She and her partner both completely stopped doing their delivery driving jobs. Why? They claim their single shared car broke down and needs a $1,500 fix. So with no alternative plan to, say, look for local employment on foot or hop on a bike, the household's income has completely flatlined to zero. Yet despite having $0 coming in from employment, a look at the daily bank statements shows rampant microspending. It's totally baffling. You're seeing fast food runs to McDonald's, Taco Bell, Wendy's, random Amazon purchases, app subscriptions, and regular trips to the local smoke shop. This is spending behavior that acts as if there is a steady, abundant income, just completely ignoring the stark reality of an empty bank account. And this starkly contrasts the reality that their only steady resource is $540 in government food assistance. You simply cannot fund a lifestyle of Amazon shopping, drive-thrus, and smoke shops while also attempting to cover an estimated $2,000 a month needed for bare minimum household survival and utilities. It isn't just tough, it is a mathematical impossibility. Section 5. The harsh financial reality. The plan versus the required solution.
So what's the plan? Well, her entire financial safety net, and really her excuse for the current spending, relies on a pending tax refund of roughly $7,700. She essentially views this as the magic bullet that's going to fix everything. But let's actually run the numbers on that.
The math here is absolutely brutal. That $7,700 refund, it's going to be instantly vaporized just to stop the immediate bleeding. It takes $1,500 to fix the car, over $4,000 to catch up on the 5 months of missed mortgage payments, and $2,000 just for the past 2 utilities. Poof, the refund is gone, and there is still over $90,000 in outstanding debt. A one-time windfall is definitely not a survival strategy. Because the only objective solution to a crisis of this depth isn't sitting around waiting for a check in the mail. It's a strict, reality-based plan. It requires securing immediate local employment, walking or biking if the car is broken. It requires massive, sustained labor output, something like 60 to 70 hours a week across both adults. It demands cutting 100% of that non-essential spending and finally prioritizing the basic human needs of shelter and utilities above absolutely everything else.
Which leaves us pondering this final thought. When your basic financial survival is entirely dependent on fundamentally rewiring your daily habits and accepting mathematical reality, will that wake-up call arrive in time? Or will the consequences, like a bank foreclosing and reclaiming the house, force the issue first? It's a pretty sobering look at the absolute collision of debt and behavior. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.